Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you. Welcome to City Hall. Welcome to the City Board of Directors meeting for August 15th, 2017, as we set about to do the public's business. And with that, let me ask our city clerk to read the roll, please.
Director Hendricks, Director Richardson, Director Peck, here. Director Hines, present. Director Wright, here. Director Wyrick, Director Campuris, Director Fordson,
here.
Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Webb, here. Mayor Stadler.
Here. Let me call on City Director Lance Hines for the invocation, please.
Thank you. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for letting us come here today and do the work of the people we represent. Please watch over all of our first responders, all of our city employees as they go out and take care of the city and do the work for the people that live here. Please look over our nation and let us seek your understanding and your will in our daily lives and how we interact with each other. We pray that you bring peace to our nation and help us to find your will in the walks in our life. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first thing we have on our agenda is a presentation, a very special event for us, a great example of the professionalism that continues in our city in a variety of our different departments dealing with our Little Rock Fire Department. Mr. Moore?
Mayor, members of the board, thank you. It is indeed a very special day and an announcement and a presentation regarding our accreditation recognition for the Little Rock Fire Department. At this time, I'd like to ask Chief Gregory Summers to come forward. Chief.
Thank you, Bruce. Greetings, Mayor, Vice Mayor Webb, board. It is a very special day for not only the fire department, for the city. I wanted to recognize my team after I had a few remarks, but I think it's appropriate to do so now as I talk about how we got here. All the battalion chiefs, Chief Valentine, I didn't forget your name. Chief Valentine from Operations, Chief Gray, Fire Prevention, Paula Patterson, Administrative Services Manager, Chief Hunthrop, Administrative Assistant Chief, Chief Coney, Operations Chief, Chief Etheridge, Operations, Chief Beck, Operations, Captain Coney, Operations, Chief Salam, Operations, and Chief Ryan, Operations. Did I miss anybody? I just did. Boy, I hadn't forgot about you. I'm saving you for last. I understand. But you talk about the many facets of the organizations and how we got to this accreditation this past month. You talk about our training division, which our chief of training is off doing some training right now out of state. He's not here. But the many documents that we had to prepare from operations, administrative, fire prevention, the airport operations, technical rescue, bomb tech, hazmat, and even talk about our form of government and the different aspects that represent our organization. In January, we went to Garden Grove, California, to talk about our accreditation and see where we were. A team of people came in to evaluate the organization, so we knew going out there that we were going to be deferred. They wanted us to understand that this deferral was not a denial that we were an agency that was credible, but we had a few things that we had to work on, and mainly we had to work on our communication center. The deficiencies that prevented us from getting our accreditation initially associated around our communications center. When we talk about the communications being associated with law enforcement standards, of course, we're not law enforcement, we're the fire department, and most of our standards are National Fire Protection Association related. So those standards represent that 95% of the calls that are received by the center should be answered within 15 seconds. 99% of those phone calls should be answered within 40 seconds. the call processing times as it relates to the time that someone calls 911, they answer the phone, they dispatch us to get us out of the firehouse, that should happen at 90% of the time, 64 seconds. At 95% of the time, it should happen at 105 seconds. That wasn't happening. It wasn't happening in January when they came and took a look at it, and it was detrimental to our process of getting accreditation. So we had to make a few changes. We immediately looked at some standards from around the country, and we went to what's called a rapid dispatch, meaning that they call 911, they get the information, get us the information of the location and the nature of the call, and we get out of the house quick. And by doing that, we took our times down tremendously. So we had to look at a few other things in accomplishing this accreditation. The city manager was very supportive. He went out there with us. It showed the commission how important it was to this city that we meet these type of standards. So we were able to put a communications administrator for the fire department in play. So that individual is a civilian and now works for the fire department. The city manager also committed to the fire department having its own fire department dispatchers, separate from the police department. What that's going to do for us as we continue along this process of maintaining this accreditation is going to allow these individuals to be more readily prepared for fire emergencies. They're going to be certified in what we do in the fire department. They're going to be focused on the NFPA standards. Not only did the city manager commit to those aspects, but we also committed financially $1.3 million to look at our station alerting system that we voted on last week to have that implemented. Also, we're looking at the process of doing a new CAD system. The CAD system that we have in place now is roughly 20 plus years of age. So we're looking at replacing that. So those are the things that have taken place since January, and just the mere fact that the city manager was present and he made that clear that he was committed to this process. When we went back out in July, it was a unanimous decision that we received that accreditation. But I can tell you all the work that we've done as an organization, and you heard me just identify all of the chief officers, the captains that's been responsible for that. This firefighter, stand up, Bo, this firefighter, Thurman Hagar, is an individual that guided us along the way over these last 5 years to help us get to this point. And I say that because the commission chairman, who's a retired fire chief, asked that particular question. We knew that going in. Once I appointed Bo to that position, that he was going to have some difficulties dealing with the culture within the organization because we're a rank structured organization. And he asked that simple question: how was it as a firefighter getting company officers and chief officers to comply with what you were trying to have done from an accreditation standpoint? And it was simple. It had to be done. It needed to be done. And those were the charging orders. And those guys that stood on the front lines to do that, when I tell you that it's not the fire chief, it's the team of people that work within the organization. And I stand before anybody and tell you that the fire department that you have today, serving with pride, excellence, and national recognition, we always knew we had the pride. We always knew that we had those other elements, but we did not know and understand how we were nationally recognized. Being an ISO Class 1 organization and also being a accredited organization, we can truly say that your fire department is now nationally recognized. So I want to give Bo and the rest of my team a special thanks for all the hard work that they've done, because it wasn't the work that I did, it was the work that they did, and I certainly appreciate their efforts.
Mayor and members of the board, obviously this was announced a little while ago, but I wanted the chief an opportunity and his team to present to you all. And as you know, we received our Class 1 ISO rating late last year and early this year, and now to be accredited. So I asked the question of the chief and his team, I said, how many fire stations in the United States, or fire departments in the United States, have both a Class 1 rating and are accredited? And the answer is 55. Little Rock Fire Department is now the 55th nationwide department to be a Class 1 and accredited. And I think that is remarkable and deserves another round of applause. So I'd like to present the plaque, the Commission on Fire Accreditation International, an improvement model through self-assessment, accredited agency award, Little Rock Fire Department, Little Rock, Arkansas. Congratulations. Here, you get in there. Thank you all.
And just one last word, when Bruce talked about that 55, I want to try to put that into perspective for you. There are 30,000 fire departments in the United States.
Wow.
30,000. Thank you.
Wow. Go ahead, Chief.
Well, Chief, congratulations to your entire department for a great effort. And this is the kind of thing that makes Little Rock a great place to live. We know that, and we appreciate what the fire department and all your professional staff do to make our city safe. Your first responder responsibilities are tremendous. We know you save lives in addition to all of the other kind of good work that you do. So thank you so much, and we're very proud. 55 out of 30,000. That's a pretty good odds. You betcha. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, the next presentation we have is a Little Rock salute featuring the U.S. Navy cruisers. And I think Diana Long is going to tell us about this. Diana, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Board, for giving us the time tonight. And what a perfect, I wish they weren't leaving. What a great night and kind of the perfect dovetail to come into this. So the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau, in partnership with the city, and some sponsors that I will name here in a minute, are so very excited to host a concert series that features some of the best, most recognized military bands in the country, and that will kick off this Saturday. The series is called Little Rock Salutes. So at 7 p.m. this Saturday at First Security Amphitheater, we will host the U.S. Navy Band Cruisers. This is a concert band. It's popular music. It's not just military music. They have played all over the world. They have opened for bands like Casey and the Sunshine Band and Rick Springfield, and they do all of the presidential events and all of the other high-end events around the D.C. region. And so we encourage everybody to attend this concert. It is free. It is open to the public. We will have some food and beverage available at the event, so we do encourage people to come in, bring the families, bring a lawn chair and a blanket, but no coolers for this event. We do host a lot of events that is allowed, but for this one, we're going to provide some opportunities for people to purchase things that they would like while they're there. And one of the most exciting opportunities that we have prior to this event is a very special thank you to Little Rock's first responders. So we could not put on this series without the support of the Clinton School of Public Service, but we've also had some great friends of the city and the River Market step up and offer to help us put on a dinner that really celebrates the work and the personal sacrifices that Little Rock's first responders make every day to keep us safe. And it is a thankless job and one that is all guts and no glory most of the time. So I want to thank especially Daniel Bryant. Come on up, Daniel. Daniel Bryant owns several restaurants in and around Little Rock, and he owns Gus's and is a big partner in Whole Hog North, and they stepped up and said, hey, if you guys really want to do something for your first responders, we'll cater it. So we are hosting a dinner that's going to be catered by Gus's Fried Chicken and Whole Hog North at 5:30 p.m. this Saturday, and it is solely for our Little Rock first responders. That's fire, police and MEMS and their family. So they'll come in, they'll enjoy dinner. Lost 40 is sponsoring some drinks. The Convention and Visitors Bureau is participating in this. Little Rock Regional Chamber stepped up to help us cover, to have a kids bouncing area and activities. Museum of Discovery will have an interactive science activity. So we encourage all of the first responders in Little Rock, please come out and let us have this opportunity to say thank you. I'd like to personally invite all of our city board of directors to come out and enjoy this dinner with us and say thank you to these guys. So I do have, and we've got a lot of press going on, and we do have some posters that are going up, but I'm going to leave y'all all with some postcards this evening. They'll be in a bag. I'm going to give them to Dr. Dean. I think he'd be a good one to pass these out, right? So that as y'all go to your jobs and the community events and meetings that you have for the rest of the week, that you can be sure and spread the good news and the invites. So I wanted to thank all of y'all who have helped us to put this on, especially Daniel, because he came into our office and said, do this, we'll feed them, and we couldn't have made this happen without that. So thank you.
My only requirement was that she wouldn't embarrass me or make a big deal about it. And you see how that went. And she's got a partner in arms over here that didn't help much either. But anyway, we're happy to do it, and we're very appreciative of everybody, the first responders. And it's those of you that have been in the restaurant business, I know I'm talking to a couple of you, sometimes you're worried whether or not you're ever going to be open again. So to be around long enough to be able to make a contribution of this size, you feel lucky. And so it's a real privilege to be able to give back. So we're happy to do it.
Dr. Kaviris.
Well, Daniel is not quite telling the story the way it is. We meet every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And Diana talked about this, and then it kind of evolved into, we need to do something, we ought to do something, we want to do something for the first responders. And Daniel just came up after her and said, I think this is a good deal. I'll serve 500 meals. I'll cater for 500 people for this, for the first responders. He wasn't asked. No one put any pressure on him. He just said, I love my city, I love what they're doing, and I want to step forward and help and honor the first responders to our city. So we want to honor the first responders, but we need to also say thank you to people in our community who step forward and volunteer to help our first responders to make our city a better place. So thank you, Daniel.
Thank y'all so much.
Diana, if you'd remind everybody one more time on the date and time.
Yes, so it's this Saturday, August 19th. The First Responders Dinner is at the River Market Pavilions, and that starts at 5:30. So that will go from 5:30 until 7 p.m., and then the U.S. Navy Band Cruisers perform from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. at the First Security Amphitheater. We will have 2 additional Little Rock Salutes concerts, and I hope to come back to the board to make sure y'all all know about those as well. The second one is September 17th, and the final one will be October 20th.
Very good. Thank you, Diana. And Dan, thank you. You're one of the great restaurateurs of our city, and you're one of the hardest working guys I've ever met. And I'm glad to call you a friend. And thank you so much for what you do to help our downtown in particular. But I know you've got restaurants in other parts of the city as well. So all of that just speaks volumes about how hard you are in terms of helping to make a contribution to the city. So thank you. Oh, yeah. Who's that young man sitting beside you?
This is my son, Harry, who I've been dragging to things like this. Anybody that knows me has probably seen him coloring underneath tables and meetings at 8 o'clock at night. And just to try to get to know people, and those of you that we see around. We saw these guys at the Big River Violence the other day. And, just shaking hands and trying to drag him around and give him some good training. You know how it is. It's getting a little harder. As someone that employs a lot of millennials, I could go on for
Very good.
I'm working hard to try to.
Harry, good luck to you. I know school's starting and you're ready for it, right? Okay, good. Director Hancock, did you have anything else?
I just wanted.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, thank you. Since we're talking about the Navy, I just want to remind everybody that the USS Little Rock is on schedule to be commissioned on December 16th in Buffalo, New York. Bring your ear mufflers and bring a big heavy coat. It's the day before they close the locks to get to the ocean. And that's, I think, why they've got that date pretty firm. But we have a committee that's together to help with this commissioning exercise. It's very much an honor for the Navy to have named a new USS Little Rock. It's what they call an LCS-9, a littoral, which means shallow water combat ship. The latest and greatest in technology, as the Congress has so indicated by the amount of money that's been spent on the overage to get these things running right. So, in any event, we're happy to see it happening, and it's December 16th. If we've got a committee, if anybody would like to volunteer, we're taking volunteers. We're raising a little money, and we've got a couple of ideas for receptions and some things like that to build up some recognition, and also to take a contingency of people to Buffalo for this wonderful ceremony. So, just wanted to make that pitch while we were talking about the U.S. Navy Band. Okay, we can now go on to our consent agenda. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read items 1 through 13.
The consent agenda consists of a resolution to authorize the city manager to award a contract to Gene Summers Construction Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $191,046.06 for Abigail Street improvements from 10th Street to 11th Street and for the purposes funding from the 2012 3/8-cent capital improvement sales tax. A resolution to authorize the city manager to award a contract to JCI Construction Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $94,452 for the Foxcroft Road at Jimerson Creek Drainage Improvement Project and for the purposes funding from the 2012 3/8-cent capital improvement sales tax. A resolution authorizes the city manager to award a contract to Harris Construction Management Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $102,422.40 for the Ward 4 sidewalk replacement project and for the purposes funding from the 2012 3/8-cent capital improvement sales tax. A resolution authorizes the city manager to award a contract to JCI Construction in an amount not to exceed $112,452 for the Man Road Drainage Improvement Project and for the purposes funding from the 2012 3/8-cent capital improvement sales tax. A resolution authorizes the city manager to award a contract to Redstone Construction Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $1,268,586.30 for Phase 2 of the Main Street Water Quality Improvement Program and for the purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to execute a sub-grant agreement with the Arkansas Department of Human Services for the AmeriCorps program and for the purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into agreement with Rotary Lift in the amount of $66,744.21 for the purchase of one hydraulic portable truck lift system for the Fleet Services Department and for the purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into an agreement with J&R Equipment Incorporated or J&R Equipment Company in the amount of $149,835 for the purchase of one commercial rated international truck equipped with a flusher unit body for the Public Works Department and for the purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into agreement with H&E Equipment Services in an amount of $331,365 for the purchase of one Komatsu crawler dozer for the Public Works Department and for the purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into agreement with Mike McClarty Ford in the amount of $1,665,120 for the purchase of 60 Ford Interceptor sports utility vehicles for the Little Rock Police Department and for the purposes. A resolution to set September 5th, 2017 as the date of public hearing to consider the issuance of $11 million in principal amount water reclamation sewer revenue bonds for the purpose of financing betterments and improvements to the city's water reclamation system and for other purposes. A resolution to take necessary steps for the city of Little Rock, Arkansas to become a city of compassion and for the purposes. A resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas resolution number 14,577 and Resolution 14,578 adopted on June 6, 2017 to identify the correct vendor and for the purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
Director Hancock.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Moore on item number 5, please. Mr. Moore, last week when it was asked where the money was coming from for this, I think the answer was from the citywide fund. and I think that this was not correct. Is that right?
That's correct. After I stated that, I went back and met with staff because I knew we hadn't approved anything out of the citywide program. So this is actually our matches from turn back money, so not citywide.
Thank you. Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The resolutions have passed. Director Hines.
I'm a no vote on item 5, Mayor.
Let the record reflect Director Hines' no vote on item 5. Okay, we can move on to the planning and development items 14 through 29. First reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lot 3A, Pleasant Ridge Town Center, revised PCD, located at 11,525 Cantrell Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Northwest Territory, short form PDC, located on the northeast corner of Cantrell Road and the Divide Parkway, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Landmark Apartments, revised long form PDR, located at 16,000 Rushmore Avenue, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Boyle Building, short form PCD, located at 500 South Main Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled the Islamic Center of Little Rock, West short form PDR, located at 14,900 Canis Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled J&R Properties, revised short form PCD, located at 714 Appian Way Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes an ordinance to repeal ordinance number 19,995, the July the 15th, 2008, titled Rowan Village Longform PCD, located on the east side of South Shackelford Road in the 2700 block, and to revoke a plan zoning district, and for the purposes an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled East Village, revised short form PCD, located at 1200 to 1400 East 6th Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes an ordinance to amend the land use plan in the two areas between Granite Mountain, College Station, and Sweet Home from residential low density industrial to park, open space, and mining, and for the purposes an ordinance to reclassify. Read that again? I've already read it 3 times. Oh, we've already read those 3 times. Does it hurt?
All right, well, you
Just skip
read them an extra time, so that's okay.
Okay.
We'll just move on to the others.
Only that one. Only 9202 is amended. It just dawned on me, sorry. 9202 was the one that was amended. We'll just read them again for good measure, okay? An ordinance to amend the land use plan in 2 areas between Granite Mountain, College Station, and Sweet Home from residential low density and industrial to park, open space, and mining, and for the purposes. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Wellborn short form PDR, located at 3901 North Lookout Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Gully short form PDC, located at 23,721 Highway 10, County, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, an ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Boggs Long Form PDR, located 11,108 Garrison Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, an ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled 3201 Kavanaugh Boulevard, short form PDR, located at 3201 Kavanaugh Boulevard, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, an ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled 3205 Kavanaugh Boulevard, short form PDR, located at 3205 Kavanaugh Boulevard, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, an ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Reich, short form PDR, located at 2810 to 2812 North University Avenue, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, first reading.
I think did you read 30?
It's separate.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, that's right. Director Adcock?
I second it.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place these ordinances on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please. Did you, Dr. Campuris, yes, please, go ahead.
Could you go back to 22 just for a second and let me make sure that I understand something? Or just, Scott, if you'd push it back. Thank you. Where it says changing to park, open space, and mining, where's the mining part?
No, we changed none. It was 9202.
Was the title? I don't think the title was changed.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board, Director Campuris, the area that in question, this is just for the land use plan. This is, as you see on the site plan, right there at the city limits. It is surrounded by agricultural, extra territorial area just outside of it, and then also mining. So the portion I think that you're talking about, that is just for the zoning. The actual zoning of mining has been removed from that request. This is the land use plan amendment.
I know, but I thought we were taking all mining out of this description. What, if we pass this what it says, what rights do they have?
They have no rights to develop it. It's just a land use. It is a future anticipated of how the city would like it to go. They would still have to go through and rezone it to use the property.
I mean, that's not what we said. I mean, can she, yeah. That's not gonna fly, unfortunately.
Already zoned mining.
What?
This area is already zoned mining. This
That's
is
what,
cleaned up.
okay. So we're not changing anything.
Not
All we're doing
changing
is
anything.
confirming what's there.
We're only confirming what's there.
And the only part that's mining is what is presently mining right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Does the land use geographic area overlay the zoning identically?
The land use plan changes we're making do not, there are a couple that overlay the zoning. This particular area where we're changing from industrial to mining is simply a cleanup. It is already zoned mining, and we saw it when we were looking at the maps and decided we should clean it up. The part on location 1, you see right there, that does track with the zoning change we're making to open space. And I think there might be another tract up high on the map, maybe.
So if we look at the zoning map for what you've identified as location 2, does the zoning
Is mining already.
is it that again? Is it overlay exactly or is
Yes, it does.
It does.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand your question.
Okay.
So.
So we're just codifying what's there right now.
Are codifying what's
You're
there
not
right now.
changing anything at all.
We are not changing anything at all,
Or expanding it?
or expanding it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Director Campiris, does that answer your question? Okay, let's see. We were on a motion to suspend the rules and place these ordinances on second reading. If you would, and I think that was voted on and approved, so if you would, second reading, please, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled Lot 3A, Pleasant Ridge Town Center revised PCD, located at 11,525 Cantrell Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled Northwest Territory, short form PDC, located on the northeast corner of Cantrell Road and the Divide Parkway. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled Landmark Apartments, revised long form PDR, located at 16,000 Rushmore Avenue. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled Boyle Building, short form PCD, located at 500 South Main Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled the Islamic Center of Little Rock West, short form PDR, located at 14,900 Canis Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and establish a plan commercial district titled JNR Properties, revised short form PCD, located at 714 Appian Way Street. An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 19,995 of July the 15th, 2008, titled Rowan Village, long form PCD, located on the east side of South Shackelford Road in the 2700 block, and to revoke a plan zoning district. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled East Village, revised short form PCD, located at 1200 to 1400 East 6th Street. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled Wellborn, short form PDR, located at 3901 North Lookout Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled Gully, short form PDC, located at 23,721 Highway 10. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled Boggs, long form PDR, located at 11,108 Garrison Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled 3201 Kavanaugh Boulevard, short form PDR, located at 3201 Kavanaugh Boulevard. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled 3205 Kavanaugh Boulevard, short form PDR, located at 3205 Kavanaugh Boulevard. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled Reich, short form PDR, located at 2810 to 2812 North University Avenue. Second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading,
Third reading.
third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled Lot 3A, Pleasant Ridge Town Center, revised short form revised PCD, located 11,525 Cantrell Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled Northwest Territory, short form PDC, located on the northeast corner of Cantrell Road and the Divide Parkway. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled Landmark Apartments, revised long form PDR, located at 16,000 Rushmore Avenue. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled Boyle Building, short form PCD, located at 500 South Main Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan residential district titled the Islamic Center of Little Rock West, short form PDR, located at 14,900 Canis Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled JNR Properties, revised short form PCD, located at 714 Appian Way Street. An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 19,995 of July the 15th, 2008, titled Rowan Village, long form PCD, located on the east side of South Shackelford Road in the 2700 block, and to revoke a plan zoning district. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan commercial district titled East Village, revised short form PCD, located at 1200 to 1400 East 6th Street. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Wellborn, short form PDR, located at 3901 North Lookout Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Gully, short form PDC, located at 23,721 Highway 10. An ordinance to approve planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Boggs, long form PDR, located at 11,108 Garrison Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled 3201 Kavanaugh Boulevard, short form PDR, located at 3201 Kavanaugh Boulevard. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled 3205 Kavanaugh Boulevard, short form PDR, located at 3205 Kavanaugh Boulevard. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Reich, short form PDR, located at 2810 to 2812 North University Avenue, third and final reading.
I do have a card on ordinance number 22. Let me call on Terry Gray, please. Other cards, apparently.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, board members. And my concerns are with 3M is I was told back during the planning commission that the mining portion would be stricken out of that wording. And I've learned a long time ago, it's not what people tell you, it's what they put in writing. And what's still in writing is just like Dr. Pierce has mentioned, it's the word mining. You know, you can't tell us in our meeting it's off the table, but every time you see something in writing, it's in there. And when you vote and you vote with it in there, it's still in there. You know, we are here under the pretext that mining was off the table. So why is College Station listed in that if it's off the table? You know, and I don't understand that. I'm kind of perplexed as he is. You keep saying, well, it's not part of this, but when I see College Station, and when we get down to issue 30, that's sort of a double deal for me because I live at the end of West Line and 38. So I'm right at the bottom of 3M. So everything that they do and say and put in writing affects me. And so they're telling me across the street from me, it's been annexed into the city of Little Rock, you know, from Pulaski County. So I'm at a crossroad because I don't know where my avenues are. I go to the county, they say it's city. I go to the city, they say it's county. So all I know is 3M owns it. And if it's city, it hadn't been zoned open space, so those are still residential areas. And I would like the city to make them clean that area back up. You know, you can't grow it up for to say, well, nobody lives here, nobody's doing anything with it. You tore the structures down, you fenced it up, you letting it grow up. You know, and it's not right. And if it's city of Little Rock, how can you foresee it's gonna be open spaces if it's residential still? If it hadn't been approved open spaces, I want them to clean it up because it's across the street from me. You tell me I'm in the county, if this property is city property, then the city should be required to make them clean that area back up to where it was when they bought those properties, you know. They chose to tear the structures down. They made those decisions. And as I said in the planning commission, you know, 10 years from now, if the decision is made to mine, you know, these guys are not going to be the ones to make it. It's going to be from the corporate office, which don't have a stake in what's going on in Little Rock or Pulaski County. And so I'm here on behalf of College Station. You know, we are a small group, a small community. You know, one of the poorest in Pulaski County probably. But as stated at the last meeting, we know that rock is worth something or they wouldn't be buying up the property like they're buying it up. You know, it can grow up without being fenced up. They have an alternative motive to buying these properties. And I'm fenced in on 3 sides. So what you do may not affect everybody, but it does directly affect me because when we get to talking about these right-of-ways, and I don't want to jump over what we're going, but I know they tried to prevent me from going home. You know, they've actually had Pulaski County Sheriff deputies tell me I couldn't go to my house because 3M owned the property. I'm like, no, they don't own that property because that's where I pay taxes. So when we get to the property areas, when they want to abandon right-of-ways and stuff, I also have that listed to reserve some of my time.
That's right, Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray, wait a minute, if you would, for just a second. So, ordinance 22 and 23 deal with the issue that you raised.
Yes, sir.
And we tried to sort this out at our agenda meeting, and it was deferred a couple times so that we could try and understand it as well.
Mm-hmm.
The land use plan has to do with the city's plan on how the land is anticipated to be used. It does not zone it, but it anticipates it. In this instance, what we understand is that the land use plan that you had up on that we had up on the screen just a minute ago is actually where they currently have zoning for mining and where they're doing their mining now. So, Scott, if you would put up the, on 23, if you would put up the zoning map. Now, on the zoning map, you'll see that, well, that's the old map. That is not the new map. Is that right? Well, where is the new one? Because it's very confusing if Mr. Gray is trying to understand the difference between these two. Just a second.
That location that we looked at that's being changed on the land use plan is not on that map, but I don't know where the, I don't.
Mr. Collins, Mr. Carney, there was a map we saw last week that had this accurately reflected as it was proposed to be changed.
Mayor, this is the same map that we had last week. What we talked about is track 5 was to be removed from that application. So even though it's still listed, track 5 is no longer in consideration on that map.
I understand, but this is part of is this part of the application? Is the maps part of the application?
The exhibits are part of the application, but the exhibits are, but when we amended it.
Well, this is the wrong exhibit then. I don't want to pass an ordinance that has the wrong exhibit on it.
Mayor, the zoning map is changed after the ordinance is passed. What may have been an exhibit at the commission level is going to be subject to the language of the amendment itself. And that's how we've done the zoning map. We don't create a new citywide zoning map every time we pass a zoning ordinance.
I understand the existing zoning map, but this is part of the application. That's before the public and before us.
But also,
and it's clearly in error from the amended application that was submitted.
No, I understand the track.
I'm sorry, this is not something that we submitted with our application. That is not.
Right.
All right, I'll let some other board members have a crack at this. Director Wright, you're first.
Mayor, I'm thoroughly confused, and I will not be voting in favor of this, because if I don't understand it, I can't justify what we're doing here, and I have gotten confused on this. I thought this was a simple matter. It doesn't appear to be a simple matter. This gentleman is saying things that are causing me great concern, and I am not comfortable with this, and I would like for us to pull it off of here.
Let me go ahead and let other directors speak first. Director Hendricks, you're next, please.
My motion is that we pull this because it's strictly confusing, and I think that the staff and 3M, they're working closer than the board and with this man.
Director Campuris.
Mr. Moore, can you help us with this?
22.
22 and 23.
I want to pull the ordinance. Could you?
Director
go on?
Hendricks has made a motion for these to be deferred for 2 weeks. Well, we can't defer indefinitely. There needs to be a specific date.
The next meeting's 3 weeks.
To the next meeting, which is in 3 weeks.
All right, there's a motion made by Director Hendricks to defer for 2 weeks. Is there a second? There's a second. Mr. Carpenter.
Can you add to your motion and second that planning will prepare a corrected map for that meeting?
With a clear analysis as to what's going on.
Nobody can call for it.
Well, that can be dealt with by staff, Tom.
Thank
I mean,
Well, except that if it comes back, Mayor, it's simply deferred without that. What comes
I
back is the
think
same.
I understand what we need to do, so we just need to revise the map, and we'll do that.
But and I appreciate what y'all are saying, and I know it sounds nitpicky, but that's what the law is. You are deferring what's before you tonight. If you don't have this in there, you can't take it up next time until you do an amendment at that time to add it in. So why not just take care of it now? That's the question. You're just amending your motion to add that the maps will be updated. If the second agrees to that, then it will be done. And that's what's deferred with updated
all right.
maps.
The motion's been amended to add an update of the maps appropriate and accurate to the application. Okay, and there's a second to that. Is there any further discussion? I've got two other board members. Do you wish to speak on this matter, Director Fortson?
They've accomplished what I wanted.
Director Wyrick?
It's not the map she submitted, and I was going to ask if she had the map that she submitted.
I do not have it with me, but I can get it to you.
Yeah, that's going to be real important.
Well, I will say the amendment itself.
You have to come to the microphone, please.
I apologize. The amendment itself, though, was not we did not submit a new map. We said remove Tract 5 from our application, and we submitted that as our amendment. So, but I can get a new map with Tract 5 removed for you.
Okay. So. If that's what Mr. Moore needs, then.
Since your application is being amended, you did amend it. If you would provide an accurate map, that'd be good. Thank you. Director Wright, did you have anything else on this matter? Go ahead, please.
Yes, I did, Mayor. I want to make sure that that I have clarity, Mr. Moore. So I want to know how this affects the people that live in that area.
Sure.
And
The simplest way to put it is that the application was amended to remove Tract 5. The ordinance that you have before you does that. What's not a part of the application, these zoning maps that you see, those are created internally by the planning staff. So what did not happen is the map, Tract 5 should have been removed from that internal document. So that's what we'll do, and we'll have it ready for you in the first meeting in September.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to defer this for 2 weeks so that appropriate maps will be attached. I said, 3 weeks. Till the first meeting in September. Very good. All in favor of that motion to defer indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The motion is passed.
Which one was those? Was that both 22 and 23?
Yes.
Okay, we can now,
Your mic's on.
Or what we do. Would you all stand, please? From College Station. All of you. Don't be slow, don't be scared. Thank you. You can be seated.
Mr. Gray, when we get to the other item, I've got cards from both sides on that issue as well. We'll deal with that. Okay, let's see where we are. We can now move on to,
I don't know that we voted on the ordinance. We didn't.
On that motion to defer?
No, the ordinance is
Oh,
all together.
excuse me. All right, so with the exception of items 22 and 23, all in favor of the passage of the ordinances that have been read 3 times indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ordinances have passed. Director Wright is a nay vote on ordinance number 20. Very good. We can now move on to ordinance number 30. And let me ask for the first reading of ordinance number 30.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 36 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, to provide for the definition of medical marijuana dispensary and medical marijuana cultivation facility, and the placement of those uses in the various zoning districts, and for the purposes first reading.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 36 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, to provide for the definition of medical marijuana dispensary and medical marijuana cultivation facility, and the placement of those uses in the various zoning districts. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 36 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, to provide for the definition of medical marijuana dispensary and medical marijuana cultivation facility, and the placement of those uses in the various zoning districts. Third and final reading.
Okay, Director Adcock, you're recognized, please.
Mr. Carpenter. All this does is comply with what the state constitution now tells us we have to do,
That is correct.
and we have no choice in this.
That is correct. Well, you could have a vote of the citizens of the city, but that's absence of that, we don't have a choice.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Very good. All in favor of the passage of ordinance number 30 indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ordinance is passed. Let the record reflect that Director Wyrick voted nay. Is that correct? That's what I said, Director Wyrick. Thank you. Okay. We can now move to the public hearing on item 31. And I understand that the desire is to defer this as well from the applicant until 3 weeks from now, the 1st of September. I assume that means that we have to republish notice again? All right. Very good. To the members of College Station, this is going to be heard also in 3 weeks. And let me encourage you to check with staff if you have questions about what it does, because Mr. Gray, to your question, it does vacate a lot of street rights of way. I don't know if it does all of them, but that's probably what your question is going to be. So I'd encourage you to get with staff, Mr. Collins or Mr. Carney, and determine whether or not that's going to have some impact on you. Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
Thank you, and I wanted to ask you, is this in preparation for the building of new homes? That's how I see it, from what I've
Is it in
reading.
preparation of new homes?
Yeah, is this land being?
I don't think so, but I don't know the answer to that. This is vacating a platting of lots and blocks
Right.
that were previously platted many years ago,
Okay.
and dedicating street rights of way that have not been built.
Yeah, that's what I've been.
So it really creates an open space area. It doesn't show that there's been any design to create lots and blocks.
Okay, thank
if
you.
it passes.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Director Wright.
A question for Mr. Carpenter. Mr. Carpenter, can we ask what the purpose of all of this is? Because maybe that would clear my frown.
Well,
Because I mean, this seemed to be a lot of maneuvering. For what?
in terms of asking, in terms of the type of use, yeah, that's proper to ask. But, I mean, in terms of abandoning right-of-way, you have a little bit more authority because right-of-way's been granted to you either by a developer in the past or it's a part of the original city, and so you're giving up your interest in it.
Well, Mayor, can the attorney come back and just explain what this is all about? I mean, I've slept a couple of times since then, and honestly, I mean, this has gotten a lot more confusing than I initially had anticipated it being, and I'm just not clear.
It'll take a motion to defer this.
Okay, so I can get that explanation next time?
Well, there's not been a motion to defer it formally yet. I just indicated that that was their desire. So if you'd come forward, perhaps you can answer Director Wright's questions as part of what I anticipate to be a motion to defer this for 3 weeks.
And I'm Meg Johnston.
Okay,
by the way,
Meg.
I represent 3M. And what we have are 3 separate applications. The first is the abandonment application. It's for 3, 1 complete plat, which is the Chamber of Commerce plat, and 2 partial plats, Granite Park and Frisbee.
You pull that microphone a little bit closer to
sorry.
you. Thank you.
All of this property is owned by 3M. All this property does not have any development on it. There's no actual streets, roads, alleys built on this. The Frisbee addition has been partially developed at the bottom half of the plat, but the top half has not, and or contains no houses at this time. And the Chamber of Commerce addition has never been developed. It was platted back in the early 1900s, but has not been developed at all. The Granite Park addition was also platted back in the early 1900s, and all the parts that are being abandoned have not been developed. We have very carefully, while we looked at what 3M wanted to abandon, made sure that we protected all access points for every resident that might need access to their property that was anywhere near the abandonment. So especially with the Frisbee addition, it does not impact any of the roads across for any resident who uses a road to get to their home. We're not abandoning that road. It's staying exactly where it always has been, and it's not included in this application. We're doing this to make the change to open space. We will need to do this. We're going to then take that area, part of that area that we're abandoning, is going to ultimately be zoned open space.
For what purpose?
Simply as a buffer between the 3M plant, which is about on Walters Road. Let's see, right, you can see the facility on the map there. 3M Road, Walters Road. And simply between a buffer between them and the neighborhoods. It's just adding more space so that you're farther away, the neighborhoods are farther away from the plant. So.
Have you all not met with these people to explain?
We have met with these people. We've met with the College Station Neighborhood Association and the Granite Mountain Neighborhood Association. My understanding is both of them have signed off on these applications. And in fact, we had a strip in the zoning application that was near Frisbee that we were going to rezone mining. And at the request of the College Station Neighborhood Association, we removed it and changed it to open space.
Okay, now that's the one I remember us talking about.
So,
yes. But this threw a new wrinkle in there, and I kind of got confused. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, now I think I'm back at a point where I can understand it.
Yes.
I ain't saying I'm going to support it, but I'm at a point where I understand.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question?
No, Mr. Washington. Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
Oh, the thing that I wanted to share is that when she said that some of the residents had signed off, half of those people shook their heads and said, no, who signed off? I think we having the wrong folks signing off for people. Who signed off?
A neighborhood association sent letters saying they had no objection.
What neighborhood?
Is my understanding.
What neighborhood association?
College Station and
Do you have a
Granite
signature?
Mountain.
Do you have a signature of that person?
I didn't see them. This is what the planning department had mentioned at the meetings we had.
So now we're hearing something different. Now she's saying the planning commission. So where's the planning commission staff? Who signed off? Could you get that person up here, Mayor?
This was my understanding.
We want to just wait and discuss this later. Is that what you're about to say, Mr. Moore?
Well,
I
I
agree.
believe it's going to be deferred, and I do remember seeing a letter from, I think, the Granite Mountain, but we'll provide what we have.
I thought the College Station had sent one too. I may have been wrong.
So, Mr. Moore, you're asking that we just wait until, okay, I withdraw. I'll be ready.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to defer item 31 for 3 weeks? Is there a second? We're deferring item 31 for 3 weeks, and it'll be dealt with along with the land use and the zoning ordinances, numbers 22 and 23 on your agenda. Okay. All in favor of the motion to defer item 31 for 3 weeks indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. It's deferred. Okay. Now we can move on to citizen communication. And the first card I have is from Robert Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Little Rock Board of Directors. I have here our local hometown paper, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, not the fake news that somebody in Washington refers to. I'll read the headline on the front page. Preppers lay in supplies to be ready just in case. That was Sunday's paper. On August the 12th, a national leader said the U.S. is locked and loaded. In the days of my youth, our communities had community fallout shelters. They were never used. I'm not an individual prepper. I don't prepare myself for disasters. I let my city, state, and nation prepare for disasters. We had community fallout shelters prepared. They were never used. The nightmare never happened. In light of the words of leaders in Washington, I'm asking you as a board to ask our congressional delegation to have the community fallout shelter programs refunded, spaces re-identified, reloaded with supplies. If our national leaders are going to say things like this, we have to prepare. Mature, reliable, responsible adults have to think of the worst case scenarios of what these leaders can do to us and do for us. I'm asking you to have the federal fallout shelter programs refunded and reinstated. I'm deadly serious. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. We'll make that request known. Thank you. Director Wright.
Mr. Moore, on our disaster preparedness, would we in any way be able to, because I watch this too, and I'm kind of a prepper, I'm sorry, but I'm laying in, and I'm an individual prepper. So I'm asking the question, what would our city do in the event of a disaster? Is there a plan?
Director Wright, I have, and we obviously have an emergency management plan. It has not delved into the possibilities of some type of nuclear attack. It mainly deals with weather and tornadoes, ice storms, and heat waves and so forth. But we, in fact, what we are about to do is develop, I believe, two shelters that can withstand tornadoes at two of our community centers. So that's really what we've been focused on, but we really haven't done anything from a raw United States is in war.
What would prompt you to recommend that we do something?
I just I think about a lot of things. Obviously, we've all seen the news, but I haven't begun to think about what we need to do as a city. But we'll talk about that tomorrow at our staff meeting.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Very good. The next card I have is from Christopher King. Christopher King. Okay. And the next card I have is from Noel Washington. Mr. Washington.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters, and let me not forget to tell the devil good evening if he's here. But last time I was here, I had talked about unconstitution of this at-large positions. So I want you to know is that we hadn't forgot that, but the reason that I'm here for my 3 minutes today is that for over 10 years, I have come to Bruce's office, talked to Bruce, had Bruce to come out there. If you all call you all self city board members, I'd like for you all to take a trip and go past the 2800 block of the South End neighborhood. If you drive down there past 28th Street, going toward 33rd, going toward 35th, and then right below you got Interstate Park. If you all drive in that neighborhood from Martin Luther King going west onto Arch Street going east until 28th Street going north, and as far as back south of the South End area, if you go drive by there right today, you would think that you lived in another city. It is so much, it's grass growing up to here. You got people that's on the 2900 block of Ringo. Those old people are too afraid to come out of the house because a man in the neighborhood is selling cars and got his cars on the vacant lots. I had Bruce to come out there and look at it, and that was over 2 weeks. Hadn't nothing been done. Charlie Brown grew up in my neighborhood. My daddy had that house built when I was 8 months old. And my daddy moved in that house 65 years ago. And if you go down there right today, you think that you're in a ghost town. All the trees and all the bushes and all the neighborhood has grown up. And then you got where the older people has moved out, and some of the old people that's still living in the neighborhood, they too afraid to come out of their house because youngsters to move down in the neighborhood. And there's a fella on the 2900 block of Ringo, he got a porta potty truck that he comes by every day, because that's where he live on 2927 Ringo. He gonna park a porta potty truck, the truck that goes out there and get all of the garbage out of the porta potties and move them. Give me 5 more seconds. Charlie Brown, Charles Evans owned property on the 29th block of Chester. People in wheelchairs can't even go down the street because he got a dump truck that's been there on the sidewalk for over 5 years, and I have been going to Bruce talking about all them backhoes and them commercial vehicles on the property side.
Mr. Washington, thank you. We understand your concern on that issue.
So what you going to do about it?
I'm going to ask Mr. Moore to give us a report on code enforcement or the lack thereof in this area. I think it's from 28th to 33rd, from MLK to Arch Street, and give us an update and a report on it, so we can find out what's either happened or not happened.
So
Mr. Washington.
District that just left, who is that in the district of? Who is over that district? What ward is that in?
That's your director.
Mr. Washington, thank you.
Mayor.
It's in Ward 1, and we'll be happy to have the staff follow up with you.
If she don't know, and that's her ward, and she don't know what's
Mr. Washington, if you would please respect our rules. Have a seat, please. Thank you. Thank you. That's fine. He can. If you can have a seat, Mr. Washington, we try to respect the rules of procedure here, and you had your 3 minutes plus another couple minutes, so thank you very much, and you brought it to our attention, which is the purpose of citizen communication. So I visit that neighborhood often. I know exactly what you're talking about. We're going to ask our staff to give us a report on the issue of code enforcement or the lack of code enforcement
Mayor.
down there, and we'll find out what's going on.
Mayor.
Thank you.
I just don't want a report. I want to know, I want an action plan to get it corrected.
Well, let's find out what's going on first, and then
Well,
we'll,
and include an action, once you tell me what the problem is, then tell me what you're gonna do to fix it. Because I don't want to have to go back and ask. I've been in that area, I hadn't been in there recently, but I did notice that there was some drastic changes, seemed like they were taking place. But I don't have a reason to go over there anymore, so, but if you're gonna give me a report, tell me what you're gonna do to fix it.
Very
That's
good.
all I'm saying.
Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
I wanted to let the board know that Mr. Moore did come out with staff, I think about 4 or 5 persons, head of the various departments, but there's been no change. It's still the same thing. I talked to Mr. Washington earlier this morning. I knew he was coming. And I think you know his attitude. No, he is a veteran. He's a 100% disability veteran. And he feels like he needs to be heard. And, I mean, Mr. Moore knows what he's talking about. And I think I've mentioned to you all many, many times, when you go into Ward 1, you think you're in the jungle. And I let Bruce know that if some changes are not made that Mr. Washington is asking for, you're going to see a lot of trouble in that neighborhood. Black men against black men, okay? It's on its way. I told Bruce that. And that porta potty, that man has no business parking that stuff in front of, this woman is about 90-something years old where that truck is parked.
All right, we'll include that in the report. Director Adcock, you're recognized, please.
Yes, Mr. Moore. I was at Mohawk Park Saturday, and I have been made aware of the fact that our parks can be rented from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. for $65. And I don't think that nearly covers the expenses of cleaning up a park after it's been used. This park was used by over 100 people, and I would like to see some kind of security at our park where you have that many people, because particularly when they feel like they have rented the whole park and other people want to go in and out. So would you please meet with Mr. Eckhart and look at our rental agreement and what can be done to make sure it's safer? There was lots of amplified music, and I was told yesterday at a meeting that at Boyle Park in Ward 6, Saturday day and night, Sunday day and night, they had the same type of event, and that it was a school supply event, and there was no children in Boyle Park to receive the school supplies. But the person, which was the neighborhood president from Brookwood, did not see any school supplies. But there again, it was amplified music going all over Brookwood, not Brookwood, Broadmoor. And so if we could look at how we can tighten up our parks so that they are more inclusive to the neighborhoods.
And you mentioned this to me over the weekend and yesterday, and I've got a meeting set with the parks and with the police, and we're going to try to come up with some threshold that if you have a certain number of individuals, it's required to have some type of off-duty. The one thing I'll say, 2 things about that. One is in Mohawk Park's case, they didn't rent the entire park. They rented a pavilion, and that's what we charged that $65 for. We very seldom would rent out an entire park. What happened was this was billed as Southwest Community Day or something, and it's sort of an annual event that a lot of people know about. And the other thing is we really have to go by what the permit, actually the application says. So I want to make sure that we're following up with when somebody comes in to apply for that type of event, that we follow up and make sure they're doing what they said they were going to do.
Well, I left the park at 5 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock there was a shooting in the park. There was cars parked all over the grounds of Mohawk Park, and the cars was coming and going all during the time that I was there.
We're going to follow up.
Director Hines, you recognize, please.
Bruce, thank you for the information on the 1100 block of West Markham. I too have got issues out on the west side of town with some of the same issues with homeless and just kind of the debris field they're leaving behind when they leave. I'm working with the property owner where it kind of seems to be the linchpin. I'm waiting on some direction from them. My question is, I know the chief and the LRPD are busy with what they feel are more important issues, but what you see is an escalation of the issues with this piece of property. I was kind of interested to see some of the photos that were proof positive of what some of the local business owners have been saying in the paper, as far as, people running around with no clothes on, sleeping on the sidewalk, fighting, that kind of stuff. So what kind of commitment are we going to have from LRPD to address these problem areas when they arise?
One of the things that we're doing, and I need to go back since we've got a new initiative that's starting on Friday, but the goal was to, from an overtime perspective, to have some officers that would go to these areas that were receiving a lot of these complaints and kind of walk the beat, so to speak, and again, not to harass, not to bother, but if they obviously see legal type of activity, then they're to follow up on it. So it is a balance that we have to have. Everyone has their rights to participate in different activities, but we are trying to develop more of a presence around these areas.
Bruce, I know it's not, in most people's eyes, a big criminal act. It's only a misdemeanor, but the biggest issue I see is litter. I mean, and there's beer cans, so that means they're drinking in public too. So, I mean, we've got two issues going that I think if we can do a little bit of maybe surveillance, we might be able to catch some of them. But I appreciate the effort. I know it's been taking a long time to get to this effort, this level, but hopefully we can get it addressed with the new initiative from the chief. Thank you.
Director Fortson, you're recognized, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo what Director Hines said, Bruce, about making this information available, because many of us have received reports and complaints from citizens who feel like the quiet enjoyment of their property has been hampered. And I would urge you to also make copies of this, since this is, I assume, public information. Make copies of this document available to the press, which has primarily focused on the complaints about this situation, so that there might be some appreciation of the fact that there are a lot of people who are concerned about what goes on in their neighborhood and have been bothered by what's been happening.
Director Wright, you're recognized, please.
Also, Mr. Mayor, I know we have a task force or some group that's supposed to be helping us solve some of the feeding issue, I know. But can we not ask them to try to help us solve some of these issues that we're encountering, since they are working with these groups?
I think that group does meet, and they continue to meet, and I think there's a meeting Friday, I believe. All of these issues get brought up in those meetings, so it's not just the issue of, the report, in fact, the memorandum that you have in front of you indicates that because the Salvation Army has eliminated the boarding of men, they have not restricted the feeding of males, and so they show up. In time for the feeding at the Salvation Army, and that's when some of these incidences occurs in the afternoon while they're waiting for the doors to open at the Salvation Army. And it's also from his throne where they're also feeding as well.
Okay. But they are aware that
it's collective to both of those locations.
But
the report that you got
is aware.
Yeah, and my point is that these incidences that you have in here, and some of the issues, defecation in public, urinating in the streets, public nudity, all of those issues are tied generally to the fact that we've got feeding that's either happening before or after these incidents occur.
Are they working on trying to help us come up with some?
Well, again, the feeding group is trying to come up with some options on having a more organized way to try and deal with the issues of feedings. And then, of course, Mr. Moore has got a plan to this is not the only area that we have problems in.
Trust me,
Director
I know.
Hendricks, Director Hines mentioned one.
City
area
Market.
down on Main Street, Bernice Garden. I get frequent complaints about.
Market on Colonel Glenn and 36.
No, so there are several, and so I believe that the protocol is going to be to rotate this process around to these various areas on an occasional basis as we get these complaints in.
Okay.
And it is a balance question. It's a balance question about obviously taking care of the people that are homeless and the efforts of people who wish to try and help with feeding, and balancing that with responsible individuals who are not imposing on the neighbors and the businesses where these locations are. So I'm sure that will be brought up as an issue in subsequent meetings.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other business,
Mayor. We need to read, we're potentially going to be applying for the Byrne grant, and we need to read a short statement into the minutes.
Okay, that's right.
And the Byrne grant, the board is familiar with. It's a Department of Justice grant program that we apply to every year. We get about $200,000 that the department uses on equipment purchases and stuff, or things like that. So, but we need, as part of our application, have to read a statement into the minutes. Ms. Langley.
The Little Rock Police Department has received notification of eligibility to apply for funds from the 2007 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program. The amount of the allocation for Little Rock and Pulaski County has been established at $280,012. As part of the application process, the Little Rock Police Department, as the fiscal agent for the grant, is required to notify its governing body of this eligibility.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Equipment.
Is there a second? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed say nay. We're in adjournment. Thank you.